What's up, guys? Wait, not again! What's up, guys? Pop 101 here. You have been waiting for it. Today we are showcasing all of Trials of the Shinobi 1.55 for Blade and Sorcery 1.0. This includes all the weapons, all the voice commands, all the spells, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, thank you all for coming to watch this video. Now we are starting off with the spells, voice commands, items, map, and then you guys at any point in time during this video, make sure to let me know in the comment section if you guys have any suggestions or things that you guys want to see. So, spawn dummy. Our very first spell is we're going to select the Amaterasu right here. When you pull and then release the trigger, you shoot out Itachi's and Sasuke's black Amaterasu. It lights enemies on fire over time, and after a certain amount, it should disappear, like so. And yes, it does kill them. Now, if you shoot a bunch of them out, this is what happens. It lights everything on black fire. It lights the enemies on fire. And as you guys could tell when we hit this item right here, watch this. It does a little reflection right off of that. So, summon infantry shield. We have this right here. Well, if we want to grab this, and why don't we just use telekinesis? If we try and shoot the Amaterasu off of it, you notice it does a little deflection. I thought it would be a little bit unfair if the Amaterasu actually lit everything on fire, but yeah, so whenever it hits with items, it does that. Although, a very cool feature is when you're holding anything and you pull the trigger, you can actually light it on black flames. Now, I thought it was absolutely beautiful to not only include the black flames around it, but having the imbue be white, because if it was just a black imbue, you guys wouldn't really be able to see it just based on the RGBA values, which I think is stunning. Oh, look at that, it's coming back. Not to mention, spawn dummy, summon riding sword. Pull the trigger, redo imbue it, and when you hit an enemy with it, they get lit on black fire as well. This is the ultimate Amaterasu. And if we merge the Amaterasu together and pull your hands apart, you get that giant Amaterasu which completely burns everybody in the vicinity. After every single one of these, I will be explaining exactly all of the customization. See where you can customize the projectile speed, and then if it automatically targets, that function is not working as of right now, but I'll get that fixed when I release Trials of the Shinobi 1.6, and I assume another month and a half or 2 months or so, because we're going to completely overhaul everything again. Alright guys, second on this list, if we go into our spells, we have the Atomic Dismantling Jutsu, Onoki's ability, which when you hit an enemy with it, you completely vaporize them and they explode into a poof of smoke. That happens with anybody. You don't need to hit them directly either. As long as they're around the area, anybody caught within the vicinity will get evaporated. Now we're getting attacked by a bunch of our viewers on Twitch. Well, if we select the Atomic Dismantling Jutsu altogether, and we get out of the way of them, check this out. You merge, instead of hitting them like the projectiles, we have the Atomic Dismantling Beam, which vaporizes everything, including items. Literally just removes them from the entire world. When you grab an item like this, or you pull the trigger, just check this out. So I'm going to press the trigger. Everything becomes weightless using Onoki's abilities, and then you press the spell button. Weighted boulder. As you can tell, it just drops. And yes, there are sound effects for literally everything in this mod. I love this. And yes, I know you guys are curious. Fly away. Be free. You can of course use it on the enemies. Although, let me just pull her back here real quick. There we go. If you don't want to do that, press the spell button and watch this. You try to pick her up. I'm standing up now. You can't even lift them, they weigh that much. It's got to be one of my favorite abilities, especially when you grab something like a knife and you just drop it into them. They won't be able to get up. It's awesome. And yes, for you guys that are curious, we do have a nice white imbue. Well, what do you think happens? Boom. They get absolutely vaporized. Now, this is the most unlikely ability and the most unnecessary ability in the Atomic Dismantling Jutsu, But at the very same time, I think it's kind of awesome. The fact that you hit any enemy with it, they just gone. Poof. Just like that. And one hidden feature which I haven't ever discussed before is if you imbue the weapon and you turn on self-collision and you hit yourself, you actually get 0.1 speed faster every single second. So, well, every single time you hit yourself, let's be honest, like you keep hitting yourself, you go faster and faster and faster. Now, it's not necessary, but it was just a little thing because Onoki can make himself lighter, so I figured why not? If we can do it on the enemies, we can do it on ourselves. And one final thing about the atomic dismantling jutsu is if you pull the trigger while it's actually active, it will explode and do the normal atomic dismantling jutsu explosion mid-air, just using some of Blade and Sorcery 1.0's new skills. For example, we have the particle style right here. You can customize whether or not there are the particles when you vaporize somebody. For example, we have this lady right here. If we turn this off, boom, vaporized into nothing. Or, you can turn it back on. There are a little description on every single one of these so you know exactly what they customize. From the beam size of the merge beam between two atomic dismantling jutsus, to whether or not they drop weapons when you vaporize them, everything like that. And then, of course, the weight of them when they get lightened or heavier and heavier. And then this is the speed boost that I mentioned before. Now, you guys are curious. I've been getting a lot of requests for this when I'm streaming on TikTok and Twitch. We do have a bunch of upgraded particles which look incredible. And of course, you nail an enemy, not only do they have the proper hole inside their body, but they get electrocuted. Are you still alive? Oh no, she's dead. Don't worry about it. She just left her eyes open. So with the Chidori, we can, of course, customize the effect right here. So, our normal blue, the purple, which the blue effects will be getting removed. And then, of course, our Onyx Chidori. I gotta say, I absolutely love the particles, although the blue Chidori, this is the only one that's currently been enhanced. I think this is epic. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. But we can customize the electrocution power, so how much they flail around, how long they flail around for. So along with our normal Chidori, if you pull the trigger, you can use the Chidori lightning blade and actually nail enemies with it. And if you pull the trigger and then the grip, it's just a single shot out of it instead of it following your hand. With that, you can customize if it kills them instantly and, if it electrocutes them. But, hear me out. If we get the Chidori and we throw our hand up, we get the Kirin, which comes down, electrocutes everybody, and I did overhaul it so that now not only does it electrocute and kill the majority of them, but it actually imbues every single item in its radius. Seriously? You're just gonna stand there? Stop it, gamer. You're supposed to be on my side. Okay, well now that we're on that, if we merge the Chidoris together, you have the Chidori Senbon, which shoots out these little electrified Senbon. They look absolutely stunning, not to mention when you hit them, they paralyze enemies, they electrocute them, and obviously you can tell they hurt enemies pretty bad. And those are completely customizable, just like our Kirin, which is our activation speed, how fast we throw our hand up, the cooldown speed, how often we can use it, because if you guys want to see something cool, check this out. Imagine just being able to activate 15 Kirins at once. That's awesome. But we have those with the Kirin, the explosion force, with the Senbons. We can customize everything. How quickly they spawn, how many spawn, how often they spawn, how fast they despawn, everything. Now we have one of our final abilities, which is the Lightning Cloak. So for those of you guys that know Sasuke, if you combine both our Chidori and our Rinnegan, which we're getting into in just a minute, and you pull apart, check this out. I'm going to zoom back from myself. Check this out. When you pull your hands apart, boom, you get electrified. Well, that's kind of cool. Oh, but wait, you can move a ton faster, and if you hit an enemy, they get knocked back even further than normal, not to mention This is perfect for when you're using the Chidori because you can just go absolutely crazy on enemies, lightning fast with the Chidori just going crazy. It's one of my favorite combo moves with the Chidori. And of course, to turn it off, all you gotta do is merge it again and then boom. And yes, for those of you guys that are curious, you can turn it off and then use something else like the expansion jutsu along with it. That's epic, which we can show off a little bit later in the video, but for now. But now we have what I just mentioned. If we go over to this right here, boom, we've got Choji's expansion jutsu, which is awesome. Spawn dummy. This has been overhauled. Check this out. When you hit an enemy, sometimes when you hit them, they don't get knocked back, especially when they're these normal dummies. You have to hit them extra hard, and even then, unless you're hitting their feet every single time, they don't get knocked back. With normal enemies, they do. But for this one, if you make a fist, there is an explosion at your fist, and every single time you hit them, boom, they get knocked back every single time. So, spawn enemy. Snowman. You get knocked back when your hand is open, or spawn dummy. Suck on this, dirtbag. Do something like that. It's absolutely epic. And this one doesn't have a ton of abilities. The next part of it is, oh, let me grab this. While your hand is gigantic, if you pull the trigger, check this out. Your weapon becomes gigantic, as you guys can tell. Like, look at this. Now you can grab it, you know, just like a normal weapon, but it is gigantic. A completely unnecessary ability, but I figured when we turn gigantic, which I'm about to show you, it would be perfect. So if you select it in both hands, you merge together, pull apart, boom. And why don't we actually take a look at me? I am obviously gigantic, and these guys are tiny. If you need further proof, hey lady. Why don't you come here, pal? And it is incredibly fun to fight these enemies as a giant. Hey, you're still alive? Well, give me your sword. Check this out. You pull the trigger while your hand is gigantic, and voila. You know what? Actually, I don't need my hands to be gigantic. Look at this. We've got a normal dagger, normal size, right? Nothing mischievous about this. Spawn dummy. And we come over to this lady. Oh man, that's kind of huge. All we need to do is select the spell again, merge your hands like so, and then boom, pull apart and you are back to the... Okay, pull apart and then you are back to normal size. And with the expansion jutsu, one of my favorite parts about it, obviously you can make your hands bigger, but you can of course customize the size of how big your hands actually get. If the default value of 3 is too big. I thought that was a pretty good size to start off with, just based on Choji's hand size in the show, but if you guys don't like that, that's perfectly fine. You can turn off the explosive hand punch, so when you make that fist, it cannot actually do that knockback, but completely up to you guys. You can change how big you get or how small you get, because technically you could make yourself tiny when you do the full body expansion jutsu. And of course, you can customize the added force, because when you do punch enemies, regardless, you can knock them back farther than you could ever before with your just normal hands. But now that we've gone over that, I think it's about time that we select the normal version of the Amaterasu. So, pull the trigger, release. We get the normal fireball jutsu. You can light everything on fire, and as you guys can tell, unlike the Amaterasu, it knocks everything back with explosion force. And yes, it does light them on fire using the base game's fire. Spawn dummy. Summon infantry shield. And yes, guys, just like the Amaterasu, if we get this right here, and we try to hit that with the fireball, it does turn off, it does the little poof of fire, and it does imbue whatever you hit. So we do this. We can not only light him on fire, but if we take a look at the dagger and of course the shield are also automatically lit on fire. Now, yes, that's pretty cool, but what if that's too boring for you? You just gotta merge it together, pull apart, and boom. You do 3 different fireball jutsus. It is Madara's Majestic Destroyer Flame. Boom. All of them side by side. And then for sometimes, they spawn right on top, like going one on the top, one in the middle, one in the bottom, just to nail as many enemies as humanly possible. And yes, I know it is pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but an even cooler thing is if you pull the trigger and then the grip, check me out, you have the actual fire breathing. So you can literally just light enemies on fire with your mouth now. Again, that is trigger and grip, and then of course, if you release it, boom, it is gone. And if we take a look at our book, let's close the expansion and go to our fireball jutsu. We can change the projectile speed, so how fast it goes out, how much it explodes things, the radius at which it explodes everything, if it can use gravity, so whether or not, watch this. Normally it does not, but just for fun, I figured you could. So if we do this, over time, notice you shoot it out and it just arcs down. But I usually keep it off, and then just like the Amaterasu, I did not actually set up the auto target to work yet. Just know in the next version it will work. Okay, but we've covered the fireball jutsu. Now, let's say you're fighting a bunch of enemies and they're just getting on your nerves. Well, what the heck are you supposed to do? My thing that I absolutely love doing is selecting our spell and then, boom. When you pull the trigger and release, you actually shoot out the Kamui, which sucks in everything around you. So, spawn enemy army. You do that, they all get sucked into the Kamui dimension, which is awesome. If you pull the grip and then the trigger, you can actually shoot out everything that was sent into the Kamui dimension one by one. And yes, I know you guys are curious, that does include the enemies or the people that you sucked into the Kamui dimension as well. Hey everybody, get back in there. And then they're gone. I absolutely love using it, and it definitely helps a ton if you guys are experiencing lag in your game. Along with that, as long as you're holding an item and you pull the trigger, while obviously the Kamui is active. Oh no, I'm hitting the wall. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, you can just phase through things, just like Obito can do. And yes, it does turn off your ability to collide with everything, including our floor. So, obviously, you teleport back here with the arena. But since it turns off your collisions with everything, it does make you fly a little bit, which I think is kind of funny. It's definitely unintentional with this mod, but it works super well. Like, just kidding. Because you can phase literally through anything, any part of the map. You can phase enough so that you're literally glitching the game. Like, look at this. Everything is glitching. You can go through the table, you can stick your hands through the book, and yes, one other cool thing, spawn dummy. I don't like your face. Get out of here. Oh my gosh, we almost got her glitched into the floor. But yeah, you can of course phase enemies into literally everything. And you know what? Let's actually get rid of her. Oh. And if we go to our customizations, the only thing that you can customize about the Kamui is the distance. So let's say we set it to 1. Oh, that's not actually hitting anything. And yes, it does work in the direction that your head is facing. And it is not actually shooting out a projectile. What it's using is raycast. So wherever you aim, it is guaranteed to hit. Oh, and finally we can hit something. Or if we set it to something like, I think 15 is way too much. Spawn enemy army. Boom. Literally, we even got the hook popping in there. That's hilarious. So yeah, you can literally set it to absolutely any value that you guys want. Now, you guys have been asking for it. Now that we've covered the Kamui, I think it's time we do the Rasengans. And no, it does not function based on using the crystals just yet. There will be crystals that allow you to unlock a ton of abilities. Just give me a little bit of time to work on that. I wanted to get this done as much as it is for you guys before we get to that. As you guys know, we have a couple different forms of Rasengan, so I'm going to go through all of them. Trigger, normal Rasengan, giant or the Odama Rasengan, if we imbue it with fire. Our orange Rasengan, if we do it with the lightning. We have Boruto's wind Rasengan. Ignore the particles. There we go. Just like this. It is absolutely beautiful. Along with that, we have gravity, wherever it is. We have the magnet Rasengan, and yes, if you hit enemies with the fire, they get lit on fire and knocked back. Gravity, they float, and lightning, they get electrocuted, which is super, super cool. Not to mention, there are 2 more forms of the base Rasengan, that is. So if we go to, where is it? We have the Shadow Clone Jutsu right here. Huh, this one looks a little bit different. Well, why is that? It is one of the 2 Rasengans which you can actually shoot as a projectile and explodes. It is Boruto's Vanishing Rasengan, which knocks them back, imbues them with lightning and gravity. I thought it would be fun to do that because, hear me out, just hear me out for a sec. What the heck are you doing? All we need to do is imbue it with the Rinnegan. And we get the Super Mini-Tailed Beast Bomb, which of course, not only can you knock back enemies with both this and the Vanishing Rasengan, like this, or vaporize them, spawn dummy. But you can also chuck it out and then explodes, imbues them with lightning, gravity, and fire, not to mention it chooses a random imbue to imbue your weapons with, or any nearby item. For example, you hit him again, it's lightning. You hit him again, this time it's gravity again, and finally, can we get a fire? No, it's lightning again, but you guys get the idea. Of course, we've got our normal Rasengan, and then the giant Rasengan does increased knockback. There are no additional forms of the giant Rasengan just yet. But if you guys want me to add some more, feel free to comment on this video and leave a like. Just let me know if you guys want me to. Not to mention, if we do have our normal Rasengan and we put it in both hands, wherever our other Rasengan is, check this out. We get Asura's Rasengan. I'm not exactly sure of the name, but you can shoot it out, it explodes, and it knocks them back. At some point in the near future, I do plan on making it shoot out the actual mini Rasengans inside of it, but for now, I think I'm just going to leave it as is. But I do believe that is everything that I wanted to showcase in just our Rasengan. So now, guys, we have a few things that I can show off with our Rasen Shuriken. And yes, all of these do have the activation and deactivation particles. Like, check this out. Absolutely stunning. It really looks like Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. But, hear me out. Spawn dummy. We have this lady right here, just like the Rasengan. You hit him, boom. You can knock them back. They get knocked back even farther than the normal Rasengan just because it is a Rasen Shuriken. But, hear me out. All you gotta do is release it, and then, boom. It explodes and knocks them back. Now, I do realize that I am forgetting to showcase the abilities of the Rasengan, the customizations, so obviously you can do that right now. If the Rasengan can imbue the creatures, and now there is a knockback multiplier for both the normal and the giant, and then, of course, the Asura's Rasengan. But what I'm going to do is set up the Rasen Shuriken, which we're about to get into. So, our different forms. We have our normal, or our lava Rasen Shuriken. And yes, guys, check this out. That's our normal explosion. We have our fire, or our lava Rasen Shuriken explosion. And, here we go, our tailed beast bomb Rasen Shuriken. And then, boom, we get a nice purple explosion. If we do it with the tailed beast bomb and we hit enemies with it, they get imbued with lightning, gravity, and fire. And of course, their weapon gets imbued with a random one of those 3 imbues. Oh my gosh, I love that they just get petrified like that. That's insane. And finally, if we imbue it with our Amaterasu, wherever that is hiding. I think it's like the Hollow Triple Dance Howl something or other that Minato names it, when both Sasuke and Naruto combine the Amaterasu and the Rasen Shuriken. I absolutely love the way this turned out too. I think it's stunning. Yeah, and then of course when you hit them with it, boom, they all get lit on black fire with the Amaterasu. It's epic. Not to mention, if you throw the Rasen Shuriken and you pull the trigger mid-air, it will explode, doing whatever Rasen Shuriken explosion is supposed to happen. And now, one of my favorite abilities, we of course have the Rasen Shuriken, but if we combine it with the Rasengan, wherever that's hiding, boom, we get the Rasen Ringu. Spawn enemy army. Boom. Absolutely obliterates everybody, knocks them back to hell. Nobody will ever be able to come back from that. I absolutely love the way that this turned out. It just destroys everyone. And yes, guys, with the customizations, you can customize the explosions, the knockback of when you're hitting them with the normal Rasen Shuriken, the Rasen Ringu explosions, if you can dismember enemies. So it dismembers every single limb when you throw any form of the Rasen Shuriken. I'm not going to be showcasing that in this video. You guys will be able to do that yourself. And then if it imbues them or not when you do the fire, the tailed beast bomb, yada, yada, yada. That's completely customizable for you guys. Okay, so the Rinnegan does have many different abilities, so buckle up, guys. This is going to get tough. So, our Rinnegan, we select it down in the corner. And one thing I do want to mention is if you do say the spell names, you can equip them. It's just, since some of them are not, English, common English words, it's a bit tough for them to actually get activated, but ignore that. So, we have our normal Rinnegan. You shoot out Pain's chakra rods, which Pain chalks into Naruto. But if you guys don't like that, do the trigger and then grip. And then, of course, we get Jigen's chakra rods, the longer ones. So, obviously, you guys can tell. Check out the difference. Not to mention, the long chakra rods do not have a despawn timer. We have this guy right here. If we pull the trigger while the Rinnegan is selected, and we're grabbing them, we use the Rene Rebirth ability, and they come back alive. Ta-da! Very cool. And, can we see his eyes? Hold on. If we imbue something with the Rinnegan imbue, check this out. Look at his eyes. His eyes get all black. Now an enemy, or somebody that was previously an enemy, becomes an ally eternally. I figured it was pretty good for the talk no jutsu that Naruto ends up using against Nagato, because Nagato brings everybody back to life, but I'm not going to spoil any more than that. Just, yeah, Naruto's cool. I like Naruto, if you guys couldn't tell by me making this entire mod for you. And just in case you guys are curious, you can use an infinite amount of these, literally as many rods as you could possibly want, both big and small. And I will be getting over the customizations in just a second. Now that we have a couple of guys in here, you pull, you merge it together. If you pull together, that is our universal pull. And then, if we go apart, that is our almighty push ability. If we pull the trigger and we go up with our right hand, you throw up Nagato's black orb, which, oh my gosh, we get the planetary devastation ability. Check this out. And then on collision, that's a perfect spot. It explodes everybody in the vicinity, lighting them on fire, roasting them, and anything that was on their back should have gotten imbued with fire. Let's see. Yep, check that out. Her sword got imbued. That's perfect. So they get exploded, lit on fire, and then everything in the radius gets lit on fire. I figured that's the best thing you could expect from a meteor. But if that doesn't float your boat, do it with the left, and we get, oh my gosh, the Dai Hakoten ability that Ishiki uses. We get these giant black and red cubes, and they knock everything back on collision with the ground. Only the first collision, not any of the collisions after. So if you guys want to touch it or knock them back, yeah, you can do that. Although, I don't really know if I'd recommend that, because check this out. Oh, look at this. Nice and close. You can't move it. Even with fast weapon handling on, it is still super heavy. It weighs 1,000 pounds, or I guess 1,000 mass in the book. I believe that's all of the non-voice command abilities, so let's take a look. We can customize whatever weapons you want to shoot out, so if you want to shoot out like chakra blades, or literally anything like that, completely customizable in the book. We can shoot out, we can grab Amaterasu gunby like so. You can you can change the speed of the weapons that you shoot out, how long they last for, like how long these last for when you actually shoot out the rods, although you can set it to 0 so they never despawn. This expansion fist should actually not be here. That should be not in the Rinnegan category, but the expansion jutsu, so that's something I'm going to have to fix that I actually overlooked. You can customize the merge radius for doing the universal pull or the almighty push. You can change the activation speed for throwing your hands up with either hand, right or the left. And here's a few awesome things. I mainly just want to showcase this. No black orb this time, but you can do a bunch of different planetary devastation meteors all at once. It's got to be my favorite ability in the Rinnegan spell. I think it's absolutely epic. So yeah, but normally it's set at 1. I will be getting into the voice command for it in just a minute because there's a couple customizations. You can change the size of the cubes that you do with the left hand, the amount of them, the radius, the explosions. Oh, yeah, here's one that I completely forgot to do. Oh my gosh, guys, I completely forgot a bunch of them. So while you're holding any weapon, if you press both the trigger and the grip, you use the Amaterasu ability to swap places and then automatically face whatever the creature is. So if I wanted to do something like teleport up, swap places, boom, he falls to their death. Suck on that, dirtbag. It's a very small ability, but I love just being able to swap places with Sasuke's Amaterasu. You can customize whether or not it swaps between items as well. That is still a bit glitchy, so I'd still recommend keeping that off. But if you guys want to experiment with it, you definitely can. The ribcage is a voice command, which I will be getting into later, although the ribcage part of it is actually turned off. It is only the hands right now, so I'll get into that in a little bit. If you grab an item, you pull the trigger and hold the trigger for 3 seconds. Your weapon begins to grow, so we have this long chakra rod that is way longer than the normal one. Or, on the flip side, if you hold the spell button for 3 seconds, things shrink. And yes, there is a minimum size, so you can change it. That is the smallest it goes to. So your weapons will not completely vanish in-game or cause any glitches. That's a promise. Although, I believe it can get as large as you want, so you can keep holding it as long as you want with no problems at all. And finally, since we have this guy, this is perfect if we merge it together, and instead of just pulling apart normally, if you pull apart while holding the grips in both hands, we get Sasuke's portal, which, yeah, oh my gosh, it vanished. Everything goes into the portal, and just wait, I'm going to love showcasing this. It is active for 30 seconds, so you can customize that. 60 seconds, my mistake, which you can customize in the book. And then, you know what? Spawn dummy. We can do 2 of them in here. Come on, lady. Yeah! And then, as soon as you touch it, you go to wherever the portal takes you. Completely customizable in the book, as you guys just saw. So, our canyon right here. And then, where's the other one? It's supposed to spawn in both guys. I wonder if one of them got phased through. So all of the items that we threw in the portal are now here, including this guy. Select our Rinnegan. Let's turn that off. And now we have some shadow clones. So you can customize which one you use first. I will be, of course, changing this so that it only says shadow, lightning, or crow. But for now, we can keep it. So our default, if we select it, pull the trigger, bam, shadow clones with any of the Shinobi weapons. And yes, I know you guys are curious, a few other Shinobi weapons are coming very soon. On collision, boom. They explode into a cloud of smoke, just like so. If we use our lightning ones, check this out, and why don't we do 2 of them? Watch this. When you kill one, they explode and electrified like that, although for some reason, hold on, let me do a couple more of these. So if we change this to the lightning clones, we pull the trigger and you hit an enemy with it, any enemy in the vicinity should get electrified too. Maybe that's something that I need to fix, because it was working before, but it does electrify around the area and do the actual effect. So that's something I'll change in a minute. And then finally, my absolute favorite, check this out. Really? You're really gonna do me like that? Hold on. Itachi's crow clone jutsu. I absolutely love the way that this turned out. Oh my gosh. It looks like something's busted. And there you go. Absolutely fantastic. And You can customize the merges, you can customize the special clones, and then the imbue, because, check this out, since we have the shadow clone jutsu on, if we throw a weapon on collision, just like how Naruto fights against pain, changing from a rock into an actual clone, that is what we have right here. So you can change anything that can get imbued into a clone. Granted, it's not necessary at all, but I thought it would be really funny if you could do that. You're just fighting a bunch of enemies and then bam, out of nowhere, hey Nightbot, you just get a clone like that. Super cool, right? And I know you guys are curious, so if you do imbue it, you merge the Amaterasu with our shadow clone, you get a bunch of Itachi's crow clones right in here. So they just all spawn around you. If you do just our normal shadow clone jutsu and pull apart, you get a bunch of normal shadow clones that spawn around you, like so. And then finally, if we do that with our lightning, is it lightning? Okay, no, I did change that. So if you merge it with the Chidori, boom, you get a bunch of electrified shadow clones. Yeah! Boom! And they explode into a cloud of lightning. And for those of you guys that are curious why there are names on these enemies, these are my current viewers live on Twitch. So anybody that comes over to my Twitch, leaves a message in the chat, and is a follower, you guys can actually spawn in my game, which I think is pretty awesome. Not to mention, for those of you guys that donate over 100 bits onto the Twitch, that is when you can start activating commands that control my Blade and Sorcery directly from the Twitch chat. For example, you could kill me, you could spawn in clones, you could spawn in weapons, items, you could create a rain of arrows from the sky. There's a ton of awesome things you can do directly from the Twitch chat. You don't even need to actually pop into my game. You can just type a message and then boom, it activates. But I believe that is everything for the shadow clones. I normally just leave it as my default, the crow right here, because I think it's just absolutely awesome. Look at these, and as you guys can tell, as you saw by that, since we were nice and close, all of those clones have a nice red Sharingan eye. We have our Shuriken Jutsu, which does have 2 abilities. So, wherever this is hiding on the wheel, we have our Shurikens. Boom. Particles, as many Shurikens as you want. These are Sasuke's Shurikens, so if you press the spell button, you can imbue them with lightning. As many as you want. Literally that simple. Stop time. I just froze time with the voice commands real quick, and when you throw it, as you guys can tell, they get animated. So as soon as it hits something, the animation stops, and I guess I impaled myself. Oh well. Start time. As you guys can tell, over time, they do despawn, unless you set it to 0 for never despawning. Although, I'm just going to keep it at 10 because if we do spawn in a bunch of them, it can get laggy over time. So, we can just do as many of these as we could possibly want. Like, literally that simple. And then they start despawning. And then last but not least, the random imbue active, if you turn that on, they start off with a random imbue, whether that's the atomic dismantling jutsu, the Amaterasu. We should have fire popping in here. I just want to vaporize this guy real quick. And there you go. Those are some of the abilities of the specialized shurikens, although I do normally just keep it off. Before we get into these scripted abilities, I did promise we were going to do the voice commands next. So, strap in, folks. This is going to get pretty epic. Just wait. Spawn Shinobi enemy. Spawn Shinobi ally. There you go. And we have enemies and allies that are all Shinobi that can fight with you or against you. Spawn Shinobi army. A bunch of Shinobi that are here to help you fight. Spawn Shinobi enemy army. A bunch of enemy Shinobi to fight against you. Remove all creatures. Okay, that was getting pretty hectic already. As you guys can tell, oh my gosh, the Samehada is flying away. It's pretty awesome, just using those normal Shinobi. Random Shinobi weapon. You can say random Shinobi weapon, and it gives you a random weapon from the Trials of the Shinobi category. Random Shinobi weapon. Random Shinobi weapon. There you go. Absolutely awesome. Here's a classic one for you guys. Based off Sasuke's Chidori ability, I thought it would only be perfect to do this. Thunderbolt. And we can use the Lightning's Thunderbolt ability directly from our hands whenever we want. Amaterasu. You can shoot out Itachi's Amaterasu right there, or Giant Amaterasu. The big, enormous one which lights everybody on fire within it, Amaterasu Burn. When you say that, it should theoretically light them all on fire, although I guess the black flames I did not completely set up just yet, but yeah. So the goal is to do the black effect and then light them on fire like normal. And on top of the Sasuke's, now just keep in mind, it's not perfect yet, and it's still, well, it's still heavily bugged, but Sasuke Susanoo. Alright, if we get our hands in front of us now, if we, let's see if I can do this. If you do a fist grip, check this out. You can actually control these Susanoo hands. It will be connected to an entire Susanoo ribcage in the next version of Trials of the Shinobi, which I have already begun working on, but I think it's awesome. Does obviously work with both hands, and on collision with things, check this out. It does extra knockback, which explodes everything. I figured it would be perfect for when you just want to grab your fist and then go boom and knock everybody out. Chidori Lightning Cloak on. Chidori Lightning Cloak off. Simple as that. Those commands, which when you merged the Chidori and the Lightning together so that you could get super fast and super strong, all with the voice. Partial Expansion Jutsu on. Partial Expansion Jutsu off. Just like that. Full Body Expansion Jutsu on. Full Body Expansion Jutsu off. Go to big, go to small. Fireball Jutsu. Majestic Destroyer Flame. Oh, looks like there's an invisible thing there from the time stop. Hold on. Majestic Destroyer Flame. There we go. There are our three, although one of them decided to vanish, but you guys get the idea. That is Madara's 3 fireballs. Kamui. We have Obito's Kamui right there, or I guess Kakashi's, however you guys want to do that. And now, I didn't mention at the beginning of doing these voice commands, but you can completely customize the words you need to say in order to actually activate the abilities. For example, in order to activate Madara's Majestic Destroyer Flame, you could say something like, "Unholy flames of fire, activate in front of me," and then boom, his flames come out. Cheesy, I know, but you could say that and actually get it to work. It's all customizable in the JSON. Just type in what you want to say, and you can say it. Ta-da! Just like the Amano Tejikara, switch. And you change places with whatever creature you're looking at. Switch. And yes, you do automatically face them. Now, I know you guys were curious. For those of you guys that have seen my live streams on both TikTok and Twitch, here you go. Almighty Push. I don't know why your head's sunken in like that. I didn't even get to use it against you yet. Hey man, I think you're going to be the perfect example for this. Universal Pull. I don't know why he's bugged out, but that's hilarious. Universal Pull. There you go. Much better. So as you guys can tell, they come directly to your hand. Okay, so let's say both of your hands are full like this with both of these ladies. Or weapons, it doesn't really matter. Universal Pull. You bring them over and they stop right in front of you. Hey, Mr. Yeet Man. Let's say you don't want to pull out the Rinnegan. Renne Rebirth. Still plays the sound, still does everything, and then they come back up and alive. Ta-da! Every single person that was dead comes back. Open portal. We create Sasuke's portal in front of us. Yeah. Get in there, lady. And obviously, as you guys can tell, it's exactly what we did before with the spells. It'll just go away after a period of time. You can, of course, say Planetary Devastation, or to spawn one by default, or, hear me out, you can say Multi-Planetary Devastation, and then, da-da-da-da, oh, I don't even need to set this up, but I can still show you guys regardless. The multi will determine if you have one normal planetary devastation selected. When you throw your hand up normally, it'll automatically start with 2, which is cool. But, for example, if you had, in the Rinnegan category, if you had selected, instead of just the amount being 1, oh, look at that, our portal disappearing. If you had more than 1, like 10, it would spawn all 10. Except, if you just say the normal planetary devastation, it'll do 1, but if you say the multi-planetary devastation, it'll do as many as you have selected in the Rinnegan category. Of course, with this one, you can either say Ishiki cubes, or you can say Dai Hakoten. Ta-da! They come. Oh, and they're coming for me. Oh gosh, now they're bouncing around. Almighty push. Oh, I guess we can use the almighty push to knock those cubes around if they're too heavy for you. Normally, I would use the Samehada and show it off later in our weapons section, but for now, I just want to showcase this real quick. So, with the Samehada, while you're holding it, you can say eat Samehada or Samehada eat, but for some reason, it doesn't always understand when you say Samehada. So, if you say eat Samehada, it evolves automatically into the evolved Samehada form, and yes, of course, it is yelling at us because it's hungry and it's trying to jump away. I wonder if I should make it jump towards the nearest creature instead. That would be a fantastic idea. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section if that's something that you guys would like, although I'm actually going to get rid of that for now. I don't want to hear it. Last but not least, you guys have been wanting to say this for so long, now you finally can. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. Oh hey guys, how's it going? Just like that, we have our clones, or... I don't know why you look like that, pal. Alright, just ignore him. Lightning Clone Jutsu. We got Kakashi's Lightning Clones. Hey-ya! Multi-Lightning Clone Jutsu. Yeah, just like that. Or, my favorite, Crow Clone Jutsu. Random Shinobi weapon. You know what, you can hold on to that. There we go. Or we can just say, a multi-Crow Clone Jutsu. Oh, hey guys. Hi-ya! Show off the viewers. Come on. Boom. There we go. Yeah. And those are all of the voice commands in Trials of the Shinobi. If you guys have any suggestions, feel free to let me know in either the Discord or the comment section in this YouTube video. Now it's about time we go over all of the weapons, and then we're going to go over the rest of the customizations that are not in this Rinnegan category, but in the scripted abilities. So just give me 1 second, everybody. So if we scroll all the way down to the PyPop 101's mods category, select trials, there are 39 current weapons. In the next release, I believe there would be closer to 60 different weapons, because we do have a new modeler on the team which has been making some fantastic work. So you guys are going to be super stoked to see everything he's made. But Awesome's Chakra Blades, and I'm not going to go through all the imbues, I'm just going to do the normal fire one so you guys can see real quick. Bomb Kunai. Imbues with fire. Explodes, knock enemies back. Chakra Saber. The Sakamo's, or Kakashi's dad. The Paralysis Kunai, when you hit enemies with it, they get frozen and fall over. We get Naruto's Kunai. I will change this to Boruto's because if you press the spell button, it does get imbued with lightning. Minato's Thunder God Kunai, which I'll get into in just a sec. You press the spell button, you teleport to it, or if you pull the trigger, you can teleport directly to it and grab it. Sasuke Shurikens, press the spell button, it gets electrified. The Paralyzing Senbon, when you hit an enemy with it, just like the Paralysis Kunai, they do just fall over. Shisui's Tanto. Shisui Uchiha. We have Tobirama's Sword of the Thunder God. All particle based. Electrifies enemies. The normal Konoha Chakra Blade. Chojiro's Kirame Hare. The most interesting looking weapon in the Trials of the Shinobi pack. Itachi's Anbu Sword, one of my favorite because of this awesome imbue. Pain's Chakra Receiver, or his Chakra Rods, whatever you guys want to call them. The Nuibari, or the Sewing Needle, one of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist weapons. Sasuke's Susanoo sword for when you turn into the Susanoo form, which will be coming next update. We are very close to getting that to work though. Kiba's lightning blades, press the spell button to activate with lightning. Enma's staff form, you pull the trigger to make it grow bigger or smaller as long as you want. This is basically becoming what's his face Wukong in Blade and Sorcery, like literally as much as you want. And if you let go of it, it does shrink back to its normal size. Oh, and then of course our imbue, just a little, it's kind of messy, but that's what it looks like on the end of it. We have Mifune's Kurosawa, so Mifune's sword right here. Absolutely stunning, right guys? We've got Omori's sword. Basically a katana, one of my favorite weapons. I love that it fits just so well in my hands. The Super Vibrato Lightning Sword, Killer Bee's weapons. Press the spell button to imbue it with lightning. Tobirama's, or Hashirama's brother, or the second Hokage, we get his sword right here. The Demon Wind Shuriken, press the spell button to open it up, or close it, completely up to you. And of course, stop time. If you throw it, it does spin just like Sasuke's shurikens, and the second that it hits something, it does stop. Yeah, start time. Ta-da! Simple as that. And yes, it is excellent at beheading people. Sasuke's Sword of Kusanagi. Press the spell button. It does get imbued with lightning. Oh, I completely forgot this. My bad, guys. This imbue right here, it just imbues the center of it. I figured that would be perfect for it. And yes, there is a delay on how long it takes before it actually activates or deactivates. We have the Shibuki, which explodes things on contact, although for some reason it seems to be a little bit busted, so I'm definitely going to have to take a look at this. But yeah, so for the moment, the Bomb Kunai does the exact same thing, except is thrown. Hagoromo's Sage of Sick Pass staff, imbues with fire on both ends, like so, and I absolutely love that there's also these little bits of fire in between like a trail. Yes, it does the fire staff imbue on collision, and, you know, all the other staff abilities. We have Hagoromo, his brother's 6-pass staff, just imbuing the top like so. The Kabatowari axe and Kabatowari hammer. So this one, guys, is something that's been heavily updated, which I'm going to be showcasing in just a second. And now if you press the spell button, this one, I did add a chain to it finally, which is a manual chain, which you can do. You can swing it around, hit enemies with it, and da-da-da-da. You can also remove the chain, and there you go. Now you got your two separate weapons. Just like so. We've got Madara's Gunbai, which, oh, I didn't mean to spawn that in, but you can imbue it, imbue the Tomoe in the middle. It does have a staff imbue as well. The Samehara, the more kills you get with this, it evolves, so I'll showcase that in just a second. The Shiki Saiken imbues. I actually really love how this turned out. We've got Hidan's triple-bladed scythe. Oh gosh, this one has a new ability, which I will be showcasing in just a second. Here is the imbue for this one. I absolutely love that all three of those can pierce. Jiraiya's stone swords, which he chucks into pain. I know I'm going through this pretty quick, but I just want to get through the imbues and show off the awesome abilities. Darui's cleaver sword, bada bing bada boom. Hanzo's Kusarigama. I absolutely love this. It's like a tiny scythe, so when we use the voice commands and we say something like, increase size, bam, now we have a full-size scythe inside of Blade and Sorcery, which is awesome. Go over to this, we got Jigen's long chakra rods, the Executioner's blade, da-da-da-da, very cool, and last but not least, the only weapon that I consider kind of a joke weapon, just because of how humongous it is Hagoromo's or Obito's Sword of Nunaboko. And yes, it does have a very awesome spiraling imbue. And then boom, it does have the staff abilities. Okay, now that we've gone through all of the imbues for these incredible weapons, check this out, guys. So first off, why don't we go through the actual abilities. Now the only thing that I want to show off first for both the Paralysis Kunai and the Senbon, so let's do this. Spawn Dummy. When you hit an enemy with it, boom, they get exploded back. It's a Bomb Kunai. I don't really know what else you guys would expect. It goes boom. It explodes, and if we go in here, you can customize both the Shibuki, the exploding axe that we had before, and the bomb kunai, the velocity required for it to explode, the force, the radius, and then if it actually dismembers people, which is pretty awesome. And also if it lights enemies on fire. So I think that was another cool ability that I wanted to add in there. And now, spawn dummy. Hey man, you hit an enemy with the paralysis. I love that the arms just fell because he's bugged out. They immediately just fall down. It's that simple with the paralysis kunai and both the senmon as well. Okay, we've done that. We've got Minato's Thunder God kunai right here. So, you get it? My favorite customization is actually to turn it. You can customize whether or not it automatically rotates or teleports to your hand. What I have done in the very beginning is set it so that you can just chuck it like so, press the spell button, you teleport to it, and then that's all it does. Only one single thing, although I always change it so that it teleports when you press the grab button. So check this out. Boom. You grab. Oh, you're there. No, you're here. Oh, you're there. Psych, you're actually over there. And not to mention, boom, you throw it into them, it automatically gets out of them so it can go into your hand no matter what. Even if it's like in him like that, boom. You teleport directly to it, it goes in your hand, and voila. It's that awesome. And I think I forgot, but here is the super sexy imbue. Ta-da! Did not mean to hit him in the crotch with it, but we're going to ignore that. To turn that function off, all you got to do is press the spell button while you're holding it and check that out. Boom. It's no longer teleporting directly to it. One of my favorite weapons in the pack, by the way, if you guys did not know that. Let's see. What are the other ones with abilities? I've shown the main abilities of them so far. I've shown that you can connect the Kabatsuari Hammer and Axe. The Samehada. Ooh, this is going to be one. Hey, maybe you should come here. So as you guys can tell, since the Samehada is a living sword, I made it so that it can jump and make noise. Like so. The more enemies you kill, the better, or not the better, but the faster it evolves. So, maybe I shouldn't do that with that. Let me just change it real quick so we're not doing the crow clones, but we are just doing the normal shadow clones. Alright. The more kills you get with this, it makes a sound, and boom, we have our next evolution where some spikes come out. And can you see the mouth in this one yet? Yes, you can. The mouth has started to form. Get out of here, dirtbag. Alright, let's do the rest. So the more kills you get with it, the more it evolves, and then our final evolution, which I did already showcase, and yes... Oh, wait a minute. Technically, you're supposed to make it be able to get imbued. I wonder if it's just temporarily bugged out because of the game right now. But that is our Samehada. And now, I know you guys are curious, what the heck did you do with this pie pop? Well. Spawn dummy. You guys know Hidan's ability to turn black and then attack enemies and by attacking himself. Well, if you press the spell button now, I'm black. Just check this out. Completely black, unless you press the spell button, and you can hit yourself, although sometimes it doesn't work immediately. You need to let go of whatever weapon you're holding, or I guess this blade, and then check this out. Now when you hit yourself and you're looking at an enemy, for some reason it doesn't always work. That is why it's still in beta. But if you go and look at an enemy while hurting yourself with it, it's supposed to kill them. Now, I assume it's because the game is a bit bugged out right now that it's not working. But when you impale yourself with it, like so, the enemies do get hurt, and then to turn it off, you can simply just, press the spell button again, and bada bing, bada boom, you are normal. Ta-da! I figured I had to add that in. It is one of the most awesome abilities in Naruto, the fact that he was able to take out Asuma with it. But regardless, it was mainly this ability and then making it so that you could connect both the Kamatawari axe and hammer, putting those together and linking them to hit enemies. Those are the two main additions to the items in Blade and Sorcery Trials of the Shinobi. And yes, alright guys, here we go. Let's go over some of these. I'm going to set this back to the crow clone. And then, Shinobi grappling. Spawn enemy. Let's say they're trying to fight you. Watch this. If you grab their hand that's holding a weapon, and you press the trigger, maybe not knocking them over, they release whatever weapon they're holding. Or, spawn enemy. Let's say we have this guy trying to fight you, and his arm is completely busted, which is hilarious. You grab the hand, you pull the trigger, you steal whatever weapon. So instead of just making them drop it, they drop it, and then you automatically take it. We have the auto target force, which is absolutely amazing for these shurikens. So let me select our shuriken jutsu, wherever it's hiding. There we go, right here. Boom. Every single time, and only while enemies are alive. Spawn enemy army. Boom. Boom. It automatically aims at their head or at their neck. Although, dang, they got wiped out pretty quick. And yes, it does also work. Check this out. Spawn dummy. It does work on thrown things like that. So you can use telekinesis on it and then bam, automatically. And yes, it does start off, because I figured having it always be on would just, it would disrupt some combat. So we turn that off. You can add a variation, whether it's not perfectly at their face or it's to the side of them. You can determine whether it uses gravity. This was our automatic rotating. You can change how fast the Enma grows or shrinks, that Wukong staff. You can determine whether the Samehada is alive with sounds and everything, how much it moves, and of course with the Samehada, every time you get a kill, you do get a certain amount of health. The auto-evolve, it's basically, you don't need the voice commands, but you could always just do, watch this. So our normal Samehada, like so, or if auto-evolve is activated, bam, you start automatically evolved, although that is off to start. I already went over the Shibuki and the bomb stuff, how long the paralysis from the Senbai and the paralysis kunai last for, if the voice commands are actually active, if there's vibrations in your hand, so you have a confirmation whenever a voice command function is activated, how long the status effects last for example, if you're doing the tailed beast or the super mini tailed beast Rasen Shuriken, if it lights an enemy on fire, gravity, and lightning, how long those abilities last for, if it automatically disables skills like the fireball, ricochet, remote detonation. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this did end up working. I didn't test it yet because I always left it disabled, but you guys can do with that what you will. And then the debug logs to check any problems, mainly for the voice commands, but for other stuff as well. Alright, we have covered all of the spells, the voice commands, the publicly changeable functions in our cheats right here, and we've covered all of our items and those abilities too. So, last but not least, we have one current map. The rest of them will be released in Blade and Sorcery 1.6, again in about a month and a half, 2 months or so. At least that's my estimate. Load Chunin Exam Arena. Boom! And we have now teleported into our Chunin Exam Arena. And yeah, we do have these books. This is still from the old SDK. I haven't actually updated it yet. So you can't use those. You can spawn in enemies in any other way that you could possibly want. That's one of the reasons why I added this function to voice commands called Create Enemy Spawner. So over time, every few seconds, a bunch of enemies will spawn in and fight you wherever you're located. It doesn't matter what map, doesn't matter where you are on the map, they will always spawn and they'll always be trying to attack you. Completely customizable how many spawn and how often they spawn as well. And to turn it off, create enemy spawner. Kill everyone. Oh yeah, voice commands in both Trials of the Shinobi and the Ultimate Voice Commands mod are awesome. But I believe that is everything that I wanted to showcase for you guys in Trials of the Shinobi 1.5.5. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, I'm just going to say real quick, I do stream Blade and Sorcery live every single day, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on both TikTok and Twitch, so make sure to come watch me. But if you guys enjoyed this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thanks for watching.